Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to take a look at the Nerf Minecraft Ender Dragon. A couple of things before we begin. This blaster came out in 2023. I purchased my Ender Dragon on Amazon, which it regularly retails for $39.99 USD, but I purchased it on sale for $29.97 USD. So with that out of the way, let's take a quick look at the box. So the blaster includes 12 Nerf Elite darts, has a recommended age of ages 8+. It's also pump action and has an internal clip, internal magazine. And another feature is it has 8 dart storage on the wing, so you have 4 on one wing, 4 on the other. And that's pretty much it for features. It doesn't really tell you how many darts fit in its internal magazine. I'm guessing 4 because it gives you 12 and you store 8 here, so I'm guessing 4 go inside the blaster, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's get this out of the box. All right, here we have the Ender Dragon out of the box, and let's start off as usual with our instructions. Very simple set of instructions. Tells you how to assemble the blaster, how to load the blaster, how to use the dart storage, clear jams, just your normal set of instructions, nothing special here. We have our darts. We have these pink darts here, very similar to the ones we saw on the Halo Needler, but I think that's pretty cool. Very similar to the dragon fireballs in the game. And what else do we have? Oh, we have the wings. So here we have our dart storage wings. They do appear to bend some ways. I guess it's not like free flowing or anything. It has like this ratchet system, I guess. And then we have the Ender Dragon itself. So the Ender Dragon does not work with the wings not installed. There is a little tab here that's preventing any usage of the Ender Dragon without the wings. Pretty much they just hook in like so, and they can't detach, which is a little disappointing because storing this thing is going to be kind of a pain. And yeah, though you only need to install this wing, the right side one without the screws, to do it. Technically we don't need to use the other wing to use this blaster, but we're going to install it anyway for sake of review. Even though it's a little bit disappointing, they don't come off. Here we have the Ender Dragon fully assembled. As you can see, we have our wings attached to the blaster. It's pretty cool looking. A lot better than I thought it was going to look. Not the most game accurate, especially that face. We're not here to critique its looks just yet. Let's just go over function real quick. So it is a pump action blaster. The front legs are the prime, and it actually loads in the bottom, kind of shotgun style, you know, like, you know, shotgun with like a magazine tube. And yes, it does. I think we already had a jam. We already have a jam. We haven't even fired this thing yet. We already have a jam. Oh my gosh, give me the scissors. Well, that's something to keep in mind. Load your darts in correctly. Gotta be really careful. But yeah, instructions say there's only 4, has a 4 dart capacity, which in fact does. I cannot move the follower any further down, so you're not gonna fit any more in there. Close it up, and then you have this little trigger fin on the back. They refer to it as a button or a blast button on the box, but you have this trigger, and it also has this button here, which is an unlocking button for the legs, so you can open it up if you have a jam. So yeah, slam fire. It does not have slam fire, which is a disappointment. Very disappointing there's no slam fire on here. I always like my blasters to have slam fire on them. It just adds more value to the blaster. But anyway, we have our dart storage here. Not your typical dart storage. It's squared. I guess fits the Minecraft theme well, but does seem to hold the darts in pretty well. Just put them in there like so, and seem to be holding them pretty well. Yeah, not much else to say. So let's take this blaster down on the range and see how it fares. All right, so here we are at the range test. Yes, we're doing the range test first this time. To me, it makes a lot more sense to do the range test because if I do the accuracy test first, I always have to pick up darts that land over there, so it doesn't change the results or anything like that. But anyway, for context, the chicken marks 25 feet, the swan marks 35 feet, the frog marks 40 feet, and the far back wall marks 50 feet from where I'm standing. It's getting a little bit drizzly out here, so hopefully we can get this done. We're gonna be starting off with Nerf Elite. We're gonna be firing 4 shots each. So let's see how this fares. 40 feet, what? You know what? I said 4 shots, but we're gonna be adding another 4. Because I need to see if those are just flukes. They're getting 40 feet on this thing. And I could have gone 40, but it kind of went off into the 35-foot mark. All right. I'm actually quite impressed already at the Ender Dragon. So let's move on to our next start, which is Adventure Force. 35. So about 35, which is actually kind of interesting. Our last dart is Dart Zone. Hit the wall around the 35-foot mark. Could have gone probably further if it didn't hit the wall. Try not to hit the camera with the Ender Dragon, so I'm trying to aim weird. I'm actually quite impressed by the Ender Dragon. I think it's probably one of the best Nerf Minecraft blasters we've tested. It seems to be very consistent on its ranges. Of course, you had Nerf going about the 40-foot mark, Adventure Force going a little bit less than 35, and then Dart Zone going at 35 or a little bit beyond. I think it's a pretty good test, and this is actually turning out to be a pretty decent blaster. So let's move on to the accuracy test and see if we can hit anything. Here we are at the range test. As you can see, we have our targets set up over there. We're going to be starting off with Nerf Elite. We're going to be firing 8 shots each, just like the range test. And of course, as usual, that is your sight picture. You just need to line up the targets to the back spine, or if you angle it up, which I'm guessing this is a better sight picture, angle up the spine, the little, I don't know what to call them, like the spine up with the ears. That's just my guess on how to aim this thing. I'm gonna try both ways. You kind of also have a stock here. I mean, I can kind of shoulder this, and it does line the spine up with the horns, so we're gonna be doing that. So let's see how accurate this is. Down, too high, too far, went around. I mean, I don't expect much from Nerf anyway, because Nerf is always inaccurate. Oh my goodness. Oh, hit something I wasn't aiming at, but I still hit something. Hit another thing I wasn't aiming at. That one flew a little bit weird. So not the most accurate with Nerf. I mean, like I said, I don't expect much from Nerf because it just flies all over the place. Let's move on to our next start, which is Adventure Force. Okay, they're flying a little bit straighter. They're just falling a little bit short. That one went too high. Hit the bottle. So these are flying straight, but you need to kind of arc them a little bit. Aim a little bit high, it seems. Yeah, because they kind of fall really short. Okay, that one went really high up. So we really hit the target and the bottle. So Adventure Force flies straighter, but it's also a little bit unpredictable because some of those darts were going straight down and other ones were going up. Moving on to Dart Zone. Accuracy, nope. It hit the target, just didn't knock it down. So when it comes to shooting at small targets, Adventure Force was the most predictable. Yeah, I want to say accurate. I'll just use the term predictable because you can kind of tell where they're going to go. They're either going to go too short or too far because they go in a weird arc. But they stay within the left and right axy, you know? They just have a problem with up and down. Dart zone's kind of the opposite of it. A lot of like up and down is perfectly fine, but then the left and right is that, and then Nerf is just going woo all over the place. Yeah, but that's of course shooting at small targets. I feel like with Dart Zone and Adventure Force, you could probably hit somebody at that distance perfectly fine. Want to use the Ender Dragon in a battle? Go ahead. I think it's a perfectly viable blaster in a way. So anyway, let's go back to the table and talk about my thoughts on the Ender Dragon. All right, so here we are back at the table. Going to talk about the Ender Dragon. So after using this blaster for about an hour, gotten some use out of it, come to some conclusions here. I'm going to tell you what I think its biggest strong suit is, and that is its range consistency. Its ranges are about 35 to 40 feet amongst all the darts. More consistent with Adventure Force and Dart Zone, both averaging around 35 feet consistently. Nerf was going, you know, pretty much all over the place in terms of range. Accuracy wise, it's kind of a mixed bag. If you are aiming at a large target, let's say a person, accuracy shouldn't be that big of a deal. But if you're like me, shooting small targets from about 20 feet away, every dart has its issue. We're not going to mention Nerf, because we all know about that. But I did mention this in the accuracy test. Adventure Force was kind of having a problem with shooting too far down or too high up. And then Dart Zone had a problem with shooting too far to the left, too far to the right. So there's that to keep in mind. Let's talk about features. So the best feature, in my opinion, on the blaster is definitely its dart storage. This dart storage, believe it or not, is actually really good. I haven't had a single dart fall out of this the entire test. Even loose fitting Adventure Force stayed in there fine. All the darts came out without scratches or grooves in them. You know, they weren't marred in any sort of way. So that is really nice. And also they're a very convenient place, you know. It's better than having it in the stock where you have to like take the darts out and then load them in. It's just right there next to the internal magazine. So I think that's really cool. The internal magazine, while we did have problems in the beginning of the video loading them in and, you know, getting one jammed, I haven't had a problem during the rest of the test. Get some practice in, you should be perfectly fine with this magazine. Another thing to mention about the blaster is it's actually quite reliable. I haven't had a single jam during this entire video. So the way that they designed the internal magazine and stuff like that is actually really good. Another thing I think it's points for is definitely its prime. It's actually quite light, quite smooth. Well, not smooth as in smooth, it's just, it's a very easy blaster to use. But where it lacks is definitely in its ergonomics. This trigger is really heavy. The amount of force you have to push down on this thing is a lot. I mean, it's less when you have it primed, but still kind of hurts. What else kind of hurts is the grip. This grip is all squared and really chunky, so it just kind of hurts after using it for a while. And then the biggest issue I have is this foot here. This little corner here gets jammed into my palm and wrist, and it just hurts. I know this blaster is made for children ages 8+. Even then, I think they might have a problem gripping the handle here because it's such a wide grip. Definitely keep that in mind if you are thinking about purchasing this blaster, especially for a child. So the biggest gripe I have with this blaster though is definitely the wings. Storing this blaster is going to be a pain, and the fact that they can't come off is also a little bit disappointing. And they're really wide. I think this thing is bigger than it's wider than the Flip 32, and it probably rivals the Vulcanator for really wide footprint, at least with its 12-round magazines. Build quality on this blaster though, it's relatively fine. There's a lot of the softer plastic, like on these wings. The whole tail's made out of that. I guess the only issue I have is if you don't like ram the front grip forward, you kind of have this, kind of hard to tell, but there's a gap in between, and then you can't pull the trigger until you finish the rest of it. Of course, if you're gonna use this thing properly, you are gonna be pushing a little bit harder forward. That shouldn't be too big of a deal. So that leads me into my recommendation. So I would recommend this blaster to people who like Minecraft and like Nerf, or for people who like collecting just weird, unique blasters, like me. I like collecting weird blasters. But as usual, I will always say this, to buy the blaster on sale, especially this blaster here, $40 is a lot of money. Yes, I did check other retailers. They're not just Amazon, but a lot of other ones will sell this blaster for around $40 USD, which I think is a little bit steep. I kind of feel like Mojang has a lot more, tells Hasbro to pay a lot more royalties on blasters than Epic Games does when it comes to the Fortnite blasters. Those feel a little bit more affordable than Minecraft blasters. But besides all that, I still think it's a pretty cool blaster. Definitely a displayable blaster, not much of a practical blaster. Though I will say, if I was forced to choose any of the Minecraft blasters to use in a battle, I would go with the Ender Dragon, just because this thing is actually pretty practical. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the Ender Dragon. What are your thoughts on the Ender Dragon? Do you have one? Do you think it's a cool blaster, or do you think it's absolutely terrible and a waste of money? Comment your thoughts about that down below. Comment what else you want to see on the channel. I am open to suggestion. Be sure to check out my review on the Nerf Minecraft Heart Stealer. I think that was the last Nerf Minecraft blaster I took a look at. Also, be sure to check out my other reviews. I'll both those linked at the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.